Break the vision, building perspective, issue dissect views, mindsets.
Those farmers, those marketers, processors and marketers still earn from agriculture, not only for themselves, but also for Nigeria.
On BURGAMI, the current affairs morning teaser on Vision FM 92.1, where Nigerians discuss Nigeria.
It's very sad. Even the places that have been demolished, they have been allocated to themselves. I can see crisis ahead of us.
There's something definitely wrong with our reward system, and that attracts corruption. How many Nigerians, civil servants, can today be able to put a roof over their head with the salary they are receiving?
BURGAMI, current, expository, daring.
Observing the trends of corruption within the National Assembly, within the executive arm of the government, at the state, at the local government, state and the national level, whatever is the tenure, unless the issue of corruption is being tackled, we are telling the state of development by using a term of government as a yardstick will remain a mirage in Nigeria.
BURGAMI, every weekday at 8 a.m. exclusive to the Vision of the nation's capital.
Yes, we welcome you back to the BURGAMI Summit Breakfast Show. 8 o'clock every day, Monday to Friday. We normally bring you topics of importance, and today is no different. And BURGAMI, as you know, is our flagship and current affairs program. And we expect to hear your participation as we reel off much of the information concerning today's episode to you. Our guest for the show is Professor Ahmed Adamu, who's an energy expert. The question is this: can the NNPC accelerate the adoption of a CNG? CNG simply stands for compressed natural gas operations in Nigeria. Can the NNPC accelerate the adoption of CNG operations in Nigeria? And quite clearly, we'll give you the background, and at some point, the professor will join us. Basically, as part of its effort to accelerate the adoption of compressed natural gas as a cleaner and more affordable fuel alternative in Nigeria, NNPC Retail Limited, referred to as NRL, a subsidiary of the NNPC Limited, has sensitized over 1,000 auto mechanics through a comprehensive awareness initiative. The sensitization exercise, which took place at the National Artisan and Technicians Conference held last week in Lagos, brought together a large audience drawn from auto mechanics and technicians from across the country. The engagement aimed to demystify the process of converting gasoline-powered vehicles to CNG, which is a compressed natural gas, and encourage adoption of sustainable energy solutions. In addition to promoting the benefits of CNG conversion, NRL also raised awareness about its oleum, its lubricant range, known for its excellent performance in both gasoline and CNG-powered vehicles. Recall, President Bola Tinubu on Wednesday charged Nigerians to embrace the compressed natural gas, which he said had come to stay. Mr. Ekperikpe Ebu, the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, said, while addressing the State House correspondents, that the President gave the charge of the Federal Executive Council FEC meeting. He said the President also directed that most of the filling stations across the country should be converted to CNG stations with conversion kits to enable people convert their vehicles to CNG. So on this show this morning, we are asking, can the NNPC accelerate the adoption of CNG operations in Nigeria? So join us in the discussion as we welcome our guest, who is definitely an energy expert, Professor Ahmed Adamu. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Demystify. Let's start from there completely.
Yeah.
Demystify for us CNG, because it looks like that just got dropped, or rather foisted on Nigerians overnight. And we all seem to be, everyone seems to be confused. When did this begin? What was the level of sensitization for everybody before this was actually announced? So you're in the studio, you're in trouble this morning.
I will self-answer. Sure.
Yeah, basic.
Yeah. Thank you so much. We have to begin with where we are, which is the PMS.
Correct.
Because PMS, whether we like it or not, is now a premium product. Even if we are producing petrol locally, it's going to be expensive because all the parameters that determine the price of PMS are going high, and we are looking at prices likely even going higher because the parameters, especially the exchange rate, the oil price, are predicted to even go higher. So that means the idea of low petrol price is not in the near future. So we have to start looking at alternatives. And one of the best alternatives we have is to turn to our natural gas. We have more natural gas than any country in Africa. And you can, if natural gas is in a gaseous form, and if you can compress it so that you, in small size space, you can compress large quantity of energy in one place, you can use it for any kind of energy demand that you could have used with oil. Because most of the things that you can do with oil, you can do with natural gas. And in Nigeria, we have more than 200 trillion cubic feet of natural gas.
I think Nigeria is supposed to be the second largest deposit in the world.
No, we are not. But in Africa, we are the number one. But if you look at the quantity, the size compared to the crude oil, natural gas is 4 times larger than the crude oil reserves in Nigeria. Because when we are exploring for oil, we suddenly discovered natural gas, and we didn't have the infrastructure, not even the interest, the demand to develop the natural gas. And natural gas is cleaner. Especially, we are talking about the campaign of net zero carbon emission as our contribution, our strategy to contribute to decarbonization of the world to address the climate change. The natural gas is our best bet. It's an opportunity for us to transit, especially in this energy transition. And if you look at the conversion efficiency, most of the demand for energy in Nigeria are for transportation. And the natural gas, which is the compressed natural gas, if you compress natural gas, you can put it in a cylinder and you can use it for transportation. And if you look at the price, if you are using CNG as a transportation fuel, you are spending 250 naira per liter equivalent compared to what you are paying in terms of a liter of petrol, which is around 1,000 above. So
you've just said something that should never get us excited. You know, when you say that, okay, currently the PMS is about 1,000 above. You've just said something about 220 something.
250.
250 naira.
Yeah.
What makes you think it's not going to go up?
That's the caveat there, because this is the prevailing price at the moment, and this is Abuja price. Because if you add transportation, transporting the CNG from any location, let's say Abuja to far distance states, of course you have to add the transportation cost, and then businesses will start coming and they will add their profit margin. So but it will not reach up to 1,000. So there is always a cost saving. Let's look at it into two perspectives. The first perspective, we look at you traveling for 500 kilometers. If you have a car and you have a journey of 500 kilometer distance, if you are using diesel, because likely you should target big trucks that transport goods and services to reduce the inflation. So truck that uses diesel for 500 kilometers will consume 28 liters of diesel for that distance. And if they are to switch to CNG, they will consume 34 liters. You can see there is an additional consumption there in terms of liters. By 6 liters is added. Instead of now consuming 28 liters of diesel, now we are consuming 34 liter equivalent of CNG. But the benefit is in the cost saving. By just doing this switch, you are saving more than 80% of the cost that you will have spent if you are buying diesel. That is to say, if you are spending 1,000 naira for that transportation, for that distance, you are now spending only 200 naira. That's a huge cost saving. And if you look at the commuters, people that use public transport, if they consume 50 liters per day, that means they will be saving 26,000 naira every day. And if they keep doing that every day for the rest of the year, they will be saving up to 9 million naira. You can imagine the cost saving. So it's huge benefits. But the only limitation is availability and other physical constraints of the cylinder spacing and the refilling stations.
Okay, but let's look at it this way also. Part of the that people say against the administration is that it looks as though things are not clearly thought out before they're done. The CNG looked like an overnight, an overnight thing that just happened in Nigeria. Because when you took when we stopped the fuel subsidy, that was an instantaneous thing that took place. When you have a situation where the price of gasoline or PMS went up, astronomically, that was almost immediate. Now, one would have thought, when did this holy grail of of the energy industry, when did it come into being? I mean, had the president or had NNPC known about all this all along? Why were the people not sensitized? That's the key question.
Yeah, you see, they said scarcity is the father of invention. When you are trapped and you don't know what to do, you start thinking of the way out. You start exploring options that you wouldn't have ordinarily seen. So that's the condition we find ourselves. The strategy for this kind of policy reform, the deregulation, of course, comes with different scenarios in terms of the energy pattern and the consumption and supply. So also Nigeria is not exception. It's not an exception, because if you look at countries like India, Pakistan, Brazil, Argentina, Italy, they've gone far in terms of CNG adoption, with millions of cars already converted into CNG. So it's not a new thing. And other countries are moving toward electric vehicles. And if you look at our competitive advantage, we don't have the competitive advantage in terms of EVs, because electric vehicles could be very expensive. Even to replace the battery after 2 years of usage, you need about 5 million naira to change the battery. So Nigerians cannot afford to go electric vehicles. But countries
I'm
like...
happy you clear that up, because that question also came up when we knew that the CNG was going to be talked about this morning. People say, why should we expect that this is not going to be a different case just down the line? And why are we not looking at the EV as opposed to the CNG? You've just
yeah. You see, if you look at the number of registered vehicles in Nigeria, we have more than 12 million registered vehicles. But not all of them, of course, are on the road. And there are so many of them that are on the road, but they're not registered.
Some of them are in the ports right now.
So let's take 10% of that.
Okay.
10% of these vehicles, let's assume that they will convert to CNG. And if they do that, it means that you are creating 1.2 billion liters equivalent per year of CNG demand.
Okay.
And that will give you about 36 billion naira profit if you go into that business. If you are just to go for 30 naira per liter equivalent profit. So it is more readily profitable for even investors in Nigeria to invest in CNG than electric vehicles. Because electric vehicles, we don't have the technology yet. We will be importing the technology into the country. But here, within the country, we have the natural resource. We can bring, with the early technology we have to import, maybe it's the conversion kit and maybe the compression plant. But apart from that, everything is local. And we have the natural gas. What are you going to do with it? We are the second worst country in terms of gas flaring. So how do you monetize the gas? Convert it to a useful product, like transportation. Oil got its prominence just for transportation. And because of all these alternatives, we talk about the electric vehicles, the compressed natural gas, the era of oil monopoly in the transportation sector is over. There is no way petrol will continue to dominate in terms of transportation energy source. And that is why in the future, we might even see people running away from the PMS, petrol, because eventually, of course, electric vehicles will come on board. Even the pattern, the way we consume transportation energy will change in Nigeria. Time very soon will come when most Nigerians will drop their personal cars, will not use their personal cars because they become liability. One, to fuel them is going to be very, very expensive. And there's going to be private investment in mass transportation, public transport. The government will also be investing from their policy plans. There's going to be so much investment in mass transportation. So the energy demand per head will go down. And that will further reduce the price of payments, even in the future. Even the variables may not change, but the demand will not be there. But I'm not also ruling out possibility of the importance of petrol. Petrol is very, very good because most of the existing technology are set to use the PMS. And we have the reserve availability. We are still discovering new reserves. Even the prospecting funds, there's a fund earmarked for looking for new reserves in Nigeria. So we are expected to find more crude oil reserves in Nigeria. And crude oil has its unique advantage, which is versatility. Meaning that you can get a lot of products, byproduct from crude oil, which means even if you don't need the crude oil for transport, you will need it for other products. So the idea is don't rely heavily on one source, on one product, but explore other options. Provide options for Nigeria and Nigerians.
We know that the government came out almost aggressively to encourage motorists and investment in this area. I'm really very curious. If that was the case, they invited some 1,000 mechanics from across the country, I guess. Since there's supposed to be this aggressive rollout, Is 1,000 in a population of over 200 million people, is that a good benchmark to use to be able to roll this out?
Yeah, like everything new starts small, and we are not expecting to convert everybody. If you look at the the conversion cost, the cost of converting or adding CNG, because a lot of people think you are converting, you are getting rid of your PMS system. So what you are doing, you are adding additional system, fueling system on your car. So you can switch. If you want to go gas, you switch to gas. If you want to go petrol, you switch to petrol. So it's that kind of conversion is what people call the conversion. So it's a gradual process, and the market is there. The opportunities are there. The presidential, I think I learned that there is a presidential initiative on CNG, so the government might want to pump money. Even NNPC is also investing in that. NIPCO, they're also thinking of expanding. So these are efforts that I think at the early stages. Even next year, I read on the news that there's going to be over 35 filling refilling stations for CNG. But if you can do 200,000
for Abuja,
no, I mean for the whole country, 35 stations, CNG stations across that, which means on average one station per state. So if you can do 200,000 vehicles in a day that will be taking CNG, that's a good start. And we still have constraint of gas supply, because gas is a constrained resource. It does not move easily. It's in gaseous stage, so you don't move it like crude oil, like products. So you have to lay pipelines. You have to take pipelines. Not every part of the country. There is no gas pipeline. Only in the north. The only one you have is Nigeria, the closest. And that's why we have the AKK pipeline that will transport the natural gas from the south to the north, Abuja, Kaduna, Kano, and go to Sub-Sahara gas pipeline project.
I'm assuming that, sorry, I'm just trying to recover from some cold. I'm assuming that the station, the CNG station for the state, for example, will cater to as many cars that are, needing it. But let's look at the geo-centralization of the station. If you're looking at vehicles coming from far-flung areas, and let's say 300 or 400 kilometers in some states, how do you, if we have to equate it using just one station, do you quite understand?
Yeah, I understand. So the demand is higher than the supply.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's why I say we are not moving entirely to the CNG, but it's a transition option, and it provides alternative, and that's why it is encouraged for public transportation vehicles that could use it to transport these people in far distant places within a state. That means the state governments have to come in. It's not a federal government thing now. So the state government, if the federal government will establish the CNG in a state, the state government can supply at least 50 or 100 CNG public transport vehicles. And then they will become priorities at the CNG stations. And then they get the gas and they take commuters and travelers to distant local governments within the state. That is sufficient for them to go and come back at subsidized rate. So it does not have to serve individual demands, but it should just to provide alternative, cheaper options for transportation of people and goods and services. And one of the advantages of this is that people will now save money. Instead of paying for the exorbitant transportation fare, you now have spare money. And if people have spare money, they have savings. They can reinvest it. And that will improve their welfare. Unlike now, the PMS is taking larger proportion of consumers' income, which stops them from consuming other products, which also brings the economy down. So having spare income really leads to other consumption and investment. So there's going to be so many multiplier effects if that happens. So like I say, it's a gradual process. Even like filling station when they came into Nigeria, they were not as many as we have them. But eventually we have to look at all other challenges that we might face. Especially now we are looking at monopoly of a single supplier. So let's open it to have people to supply. Let's have more storage facilities, redistribution stations, and make the conversion cheaper. And because right now, because the conversion is more than 700,000 naira for a car. Someone said it's even more than that. It's more than 1 million naira. So these are some of the challenges that the government might want to come in, because the savings from subsidy, that we could have used that to provide an alternative for transportation. Because if you fix transportation, you are solving more than 80% of your inflation problems.
But would you fault the strategy that the government has adopted in rolling the CNG?
Well, I've not looked at it critically, so I could not say whether it is good or bad. But I know it's an early stage now to make a conclusion. But I think the speed needs to go higher than this. But largely, the awareness, the acceptance is not there. A lot of people are skeptical about gas.
Like in anything.
Yeah. So anything new come, people start asking, this is new thing. We don't know how this is done. So one of the things strategies that the government can deploy is the social incentive theory. If people that have converted, they can come out and tell their stories. And this will be televised, broadcast on all the media. People say, he has done it. That means he's safe. So now we can even show videos and images of those cars and the distance they have covered. So they can do a lot of documentaries to change the mindset of the people, and more awareness on the radio and TV. That could help, because a lot of people, they ask, what if I'm traveling at night, long distance journey? What's going to happen? And my CNG just finished. So
you tell them to switch over to...
Yes, switch over to... So these are some of the questions. Somebody did recently, I was at the conference, National Social Energy Economics, and I presented a paper, and he came out and said, in Germany, they abandoned CNG vehicles. Because it spoils the engine, and some people started it in the south, they stopped it. And I went on and I did my research, and I found out Germany didn't abandon the CNG cars, because he said that there's plenty there. They abandoned it. Even the ones that we are importing is from Germany. I discovered that in Germany, they had their energy policy, and the policy says they are moving electric vehicles. So that's their strategy. So all our CNG vehicles, we are abandoned. So unless people have the experience or reasonable reasons, they should not just blackmail or paint it black, the CNG potential, because it's our natural resource. It's what we have. Our natural gas, if you don't use it for industrial purpose, the immediate sector that we could put it to use is the transportation sector.
One last question. You're not representing the government in that
I'm
way.
not.
Okay.
I'm an independent person.
Okay, so if you were to advise the government for this to be a very smooth sailing enterprise, how would you ask them? Because now one would think that there needs to be an effort to encourage the manufacture of CNG cars even in Nigeria. There might be, also look at potential of, if they say Germany has abandoned theirs, couldn't we get into a much better collaboration, or rather exchange with them to bring some of those vehicles here, as opposed to a lot of those that are now dumped at the ports that are being cleared, which is purely PMS. So if you have to, advise the government, what angle would you use to say, maybe we should look more at this area or that area?
Yeah. In leadership, if you are making decisions for people, one of the things that you need to do is to look at priority of your spendings and put most of your resources on things that have greater multiplier effect. So one of the best advices that we always give to this government is prioritize. You don't have to do everything at the same time because one thing leads to another. If you say you have to do everything at once, you'll be overwhelmed. And I was reading this morning about 170 trillion Nigeria debt. These are mostly unnecessary. Because if you focus on key areas, they will solve all other problems. But when you say you want to solve all the problems at once, you can't. Solve one problem, this first problem will solve the next. Fixing the next problem will solve the other. And that's the ladder, the dependency. If this administration, one of their famous policy is the subsidy removal, if they could have paid attention to providing an alternative energy, not alternative money, because when we look at what they've done with their money, it's just dashing people's money. Money in the hands of people, 50,000, this, that money. So, but that's what Nigerians are asking. Nigerians can thrive, can look for this money, even and get higher money. If government is giving Nigerians 50,000 naira per month, Nigerians can get more than 50,000 naira per month. So they are already limiting what Nigerians should get. What Nigerians want is the environment that is enabled for them to thrive, to compete. If you can provide them with cheaper energy, Nigerians are very smart people. They could find the alternative to get even 3 times more than what you want to give them. So what they could have done, they should have planned this things and set timeline and step-by-step process. We do this at this time. After this time, we do move to this one, and this one will lead to this. And then they can see the dependency of their effect, of the effect of the actions they are taking.
They could even have regionalized it. If you say you start from the center, start from Abuja, so that this person will not say, "Oh, I'm an Igbo man, I'm a Hausa man, I'm a Yoruba man. Why are they starting with Igbo?" Start from the center where everybody is.
I think the government should pay you for this. I like that. We should have models.
Yes,
example. Like it's a pilot state. Yes. You can even select 2 per region, or 1 per region, and see the pilot how it goes.
Correct.
Yeah.
Prof, we have something we do every day. Our people tend to be more exciting when it comes to the way they take a lot of the issues that we deal with. And so we open the lines at about halfway mark. We've gone past that a little bit. You see how the first person is going to scream, you've taken too much time, okay. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Morning, brother. How are you?
I'm fine. The day is good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
My name is Oga Gabriel.
Yes, Oga.
The analysis they get is given. About the advantage of CNG over petrol. That is the distance the CNG can cover over petrol, the price, and what your engine can do over the petrol. I think the analysis will not work in Nigeria. It will work better in outside countries where these things are at work. Why did I say so? In Nigeria, because of our corrupt nature, because of our corrupt tendency of our government, all these things will not work. Why? Because some people would like to hijack the management of this NNPC, DGM to themselves. And it will be like an old wine in a new keg. If the management of this CNG is still under the management of NNPC, I don't know how they are going to do it. Are they going to privatize it? Or is the government only the people, the angle that will handle the CNG? I don't know how they are going to do it. As a layman, I don't know how this CNG is going to look like yet until it's put under, it's put at work. Is it going to be like a petrol where the crude has to be taken outside and refined before they bring it back for us to use? And the establishment of this CNG, like you said the government, the state government, has the power to establish the CNG in their own state, just to take it to the rural areas. I think that will not be so fine. Like I said, if it is not privatized from the beginning, it will still be like a petrol, where an individual wants to have their private stations and the government will frustrate them because of the way they want to handle it in their own way. The state government, if you give the state government to establish it in their state, I think they will have an advantage over the management. They have advantage in the management of the CNG over the private people, and they can give their own prices, the cost, so that I think it is better it is privatized so that the individuals everywhere can establish a CNG station in all the states and local governments. That will be better. And the CNG, if it is still under the NNPC, like I said, how are we sure that it will not become a black market product again like the petrol? I don't know how it will look like. Because in Nigeria, if you leave victims to the money back, they can do anything. And they will take us back to the time of NNPC again because of corruption. So I think NNPC, shouldn't be the managers of this CNG. It has to be managed by other organs. It has to be managed by individuals that will make the CNG available at all the time. And it shouldn't be a product like NNPC, like petrol, that is sold everywhere, that is sold in the black market. It has to be the station. I don't know the CNG of the thing yet as a layman, but I don't know how it is going to work. It's going to have advantage over the petrol. Good morning.
Thank you, Barry. Our the subject is about the CNG that's just been introduced by the Tinubu government, and Professor Ahmed is here trying to demystify what most people have been asking about. We'll continue to take your calls. The line is open to you. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, sir. Who's calling, please?
Yeah, my name is Sagir Muhammad. I'm calling from the central area.
Okay.
Yeah, Prof, good morning, and a very beautiful topic.
Morning.
Prof has been able to be justice to part of it, and actually appreciate the first caller as well. It spoke very well. The fear is there, and that the challenge you have is some of these things are good, but the fire taking approach of the government is not normally the challenge. I think the government should give it more time for critical awareness, because the public are not aware more about this. So I think we need more awareness, and they have to trust on it. Let it be trust on by them, the elite, at their own level first, and then gradually it should come down. But they need more awareness, and should stop this fire brigade association here. And just like the first caller said, issue of leadership, corruption, and all of that is to be critically looked into and addressed. It's not about, of course, it can work and it's working perfectly in other nations because they have a standard. But over here, because of issue of corruption and leadership crisis, having a standard for some of these are basic issues that we have. And I think that angle should be critically addressed. The government and whoever is going to be in charge should be more honest here and then open to the public. It's very important. Because of interest of some few individual cabal, some of these systems actually have the best outlook here in Nigeria. But we pray we can get it right. Since because listening to the talk, we talked about the cost reduction, integration, and all of that, the economic advantage and so many things. But we pray ours will be more honest because that is the fear of everybody. Since we don't have a standard. And if we have a standard, something like this one is coming up, people will just embrace it, you know. But let's just pray is for the benefit of the masses and to the public. Thank you.
Thank you, Mohammed. Good morning.
Hello, Mr. Shola.
Yes, sir.
My name is Benga. I'm calling from Wuse.
Benga, hi.
Good morning to your guest there.
Morning.
Listening to the first caller, it showed that many Nigerians are still ignorant, they are not informed, they are not aware what CNG is. CNG has been with us for 8 long. It compares natural gas. We have been waiting it all this long, burning it off. And the government now see that in this process, in this time when we are regulating the petroleum sector and the petrol price has increased, government see that the only alternative, the proven alternative, let's use what we have naturally, that's in abundance. We are one of the natural gas deposits in the whole world. And let's use it as an alternative. So CNG is not under the government. It's already privatized. Just like we sell gas, this cooking gas everywhere, the same thing CNG. So nobody can say if the government is corruption will be there. NNPC is a player, is a seller. NIPCO and other companies, I don't want to advertise them. They are already selling this gas. In fact, remember the CNG vehicle about 10 years ago in Nigeria. Government just breaking it up now. Okay, since petrol is very expensive, like I got CNG gas, a cubic liter of CNG gas is about 200 naira to 300 naira per liter. Why can't we now use this as an alternative to petrol that is about 4 times the price? And that's what government is bringing in. And the technology, it has been existing in other parts of the world. They are bringing it to Nigeria. And government have done one thing. They have regulated it. They have said that you can't open a CNG station without obtaining license from Automobile Nigeria National Automatic Design and Development Council. They are the ones that were assigned that will text you. And they have some kind of training center whosoever. So they have to license you. Look at what happened in Edo. It was because some people tried to see, let's see how to do our own. And they come and they now fabricated their own cylinder. And it still exploded. So that's what we guard against. And I'm telling you that if care is not taken, some messenger will bring some kind of theory again. Just like when we were introducing 5G, you see how 5G will destroy people. They're showing something on the internet. Everywhere people are dying. Beds are dying. Now 5G has been with us now since after coronavirus. I've not seen anybody dying or collapsing. You are using 5G. So just like your guest said, government will come and decide the public. Because if not, there will be some conspiracy theory about this gas again. There have been again want to embrace it. And let's ask ourselves, government say they are giving 1 million kits to transporter. Why have they not given to it? From my own research, they said they don't that they will occupy their space and they will not have the space to put goods or passenger goods into their vehicle. Because ask them question, this thing is free for you. Why have you not gone to collect? They say, oh guys, we take this thing, we don't carry passenger because it occupies space. So government should look for a way of going to this labor union of transporter to really educate them that this gas it will save you if you take some space from your bus or from your vehicle. But it will make things cheaper for you. You get more customer. Because if not, let me tell you, outside there, people are being there's a conspiracy theory going on that discouraging people from what to embrace CNG, even if it's free of them. I approached the organization in charge. They said that it's not free for private people, but it's free for commercial vehicles. Even when this Uber and the rest, if you get 50% discount, it is free for them. So why are Nigerians not embracing it? That's why I agree with your girl. Government to do more sensitization that look, it's not government matter, it's privatized, and there are assigned centers where you can go, and it's less harmful. Let me tell you, CNG can go into the air. It's like normal air we are breathing. It's not as harmful as a liquid LPG that can explode, that can catch fire. It's not as flammable as that. So these are the things government need to do. A lot of sensitization, a lot of education, and people informed. If not, I'm telling you, it will be a problem and you have to embrace it. But to me, it's an alternative good for us because you will save a lot of money by using CNG. Even though the initial cost is very expensive, like 700 to 1 million, 1.2, depending on your vehicle. All these VA, 6-cylinder, 8-cylinder, they are costlier than the 4-cylinder. But if you look at it, like my own arithmetic, with what I did, if for the next 6 months, I use 75 liter tank. For 6 months, I will spend 1.8 million for 6 months to spend my vehicle for 6 months. But with the cost of CNG, which I've inquired, and the gas I will buy for 6 months, I will only spend 1.2 million. That means I will save 600,000. So because of that now, I'm looking for money to go and get this thing done because if in the next 6 months I will spend 1.8 million on fuel, if I use CNG with the cost of installation of kit and everything, I will still save 600,000. Why can't I embrace it? So these are the two that I need to get to that. Look, this thing has come to stay and it's a cheaper alternative for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Winger. Well, there seems to be some acceptance. People just want to be educated. That's clearly what it is. Yeah. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, sir. Who's calling, please?
Morning. My name is Tahir Amini. Tahir Amini. Tahir.
Okay.
Tahir. Yes, good morning. Our guest in the studio. I'm sure the guest in the studio knows me. Yeah, Tahir. And he's a brilliant and wonderful conversation, and he has done justice to the topic of discussion.
Fantastic.
Thank you. I just want to add a little. And the previous scholar said one of the things that I wanted to talk about, sensitization. And this is one of the things that is actually missing. So many people don't know about the advantages of CNG. And this is where government needs to do more sensitization. Radio station, TV station, newspapers. In fact, you should go to the rural areas to do all the sensitization to let people be aware of this. But Nigeria is seen as more of a gas nation than actually an oil nation because of the large number of reserves that we have. So I think when the government does that, people will be more aware about it. However, when there is a change or something comes into place, there's always that first people that will accept it. Immediately come, they accept and they move on. And there are some people that it takes time until they've seen the others have used it. There's no problem. Usually in Nigeria, that's what happens. So many people are skeptical about converting their cars to CNG because of the danger. Recently, I saw a video where the car exploded. So now, people are already scared. And then now they're seeing a car exploding from CNG. And this will now make them to panic that they are not going to convert their cars to that. And then so, one of the mistakes that this government did was, imagine you want to renovate your house. And then while you're doing the renovation, you're going to dig inside the house. And the first thing you do, you remove the roof of your house. What happens? Rain comes, you're in trouble. Sun, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. So when this government came in, people had actually set up different committees before the inauguration, like the Policy Advisory Council, the Economic Advisory Council, a lot of those committees before he came into government to advise him and on how he can progress and succeed in this government. But really he came in, I don't know what happened to him. When something is done, you go to Naira, you can't do things at the same time. Nigeria is a complex country. All the economic theory you're going to implement in Nigeria, sometimes you fail. So there must be a model that works country has done this, Russia has done this, or this country has done this. No, you sit down, you analyze, you come up with a solution that fits Nigeria. You remove subsidy, you float naira all at the same time. When you're a consumer country, when you know that your minimum wage is very small, so many things. And so this is why we found ourselves here now. Regardless of anything, people who actually prepare to be.
Okay. Thank you, Benga.
Tahir, that's Tahir.
Sorry.
Tahir, I mean.
Yeah.
Tahir. Yeah.
Yes, I wrestled with that. I thought he was saying earlier. Anyway, sorry. Tahir, thanks for that contribution. Good morning.
Hello, Ishala. This is Baba Gabriel calling back.
Okay, how are you again?
Yeah, I'm the second to the last caller. This is something that I like. But in Nigeria, some things are easily said and done. Why did I say so? Yes, we may not have knowledge of this thing totally. But if you give example of the present gas we are using in cooking our food in our houses, when it was coming to use in a mass, they told us that it is, much cheaper than using kerosene or petrol. They told us also that it is safer to use gas than using firewood and charcoal. But when our money parts say that these things the people are buying it very well. The market is good. The people want to into it and hijack the market. And, in the gas station, you see that the prices are too high now because of the interest, the corruption, what people want to get into their own pocket. They make this gas so expensive for the common man to afford. And people are now, trying to go into charcoal and firewood, which is not too very healthy for our health. It's just that the government, like I said, it's easier said than done in this country. The government will tell you something else and do something else. You understand? When these things come out, as we are talking now, we'll still be talking, we'll still be crying as if we are crying over petrol today. So hijack it and make the prices too high. That is what we are talking about. It's not that it's not good. Yes, the car CNG has been living with us for the youth and how to get them. That is what we are talking about. If we leave it in the hand of the government or the management in the hands of the NNPC, I think we are still going to cry the way we are crying over petrol. That is what we are talking about. Good morning, inshallah.
Thank you so much, Oga. Thank you. It comes down to the basic stuff, the distribution. Yeah. We'll take one more caller and then we'll get Prof to round up. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Morning.
How are you?
Good. Who's calling, please?
How are you? Good morning. The first person there.
Yep.
My name is Hamza Abdul.
Okay. Hamza, go
ahead. It's an interesting topic. I'm a novice. I don't understand very clearly. Please, can you guide me? Do you use the same engine of the vehicle for both CNG and petroleum at the same time? What I mean is that you are now using CNG and you get exhausted, and now you run the filling station. Can you refill with the petrol and continue at the same time? I don't know the workability. In the engine engineering, the same engine using gas and petroleum at the same time, there will be accident of combustion, of burning of the car. I want steps to be taken to avoid this mix-up. Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning. Well, it's a good thing that you're the last caller. Prof,
Yeah, so plenty of responses there. I'm looking at the time too.
Yes.
So what caught my attention is the NNPC comment. People need to know that NNPC is an independent player in the market. So is open to competition too. So the Petroleum Industry Act says there is no regulation. So the market is open, and the NNPC can only contribute. So the government is not a player there. So NNPC is also contributing toward that. We don't have to take it outside to bring it. Like someone says, there's a lot of fear and questions people are asking. What caught my attention from what I said, he dropped one statement that might make people panic about car explosion.
Mm-hmm.
So according to research, CNG is not that dangerous. It's even safer than the petrol because CNG possesses less risk compared to petrol since it is lighter than air and disperses quickly. So it has reduced chances of an explosion. So explosion that could be by many reasons. So the last caller, people need to understand that. So the CNG is just a natural gas. It, like I said, is compressed to 1% of its size. If it is 100%, it's normal standard measurement. So it's being compressed to just 1% of its size. So you are going to use the same engine, and you can use CNG and petrol at the same time. I mean on your car, but not at the same time. You cannot use both at the same time. But it has to be one of them at a time. You are either on gas or you're on petrol. If you are doing local commuting, you can switch the gas. So at that time you are using only gas, but you cannot use them simultaneously. So you can either switch. If you are running and then you saw that your gas is about to finish, you can stop and then switch to petrol. So you can switch, but you can only use one source at a time. But you're using the same engine.
Yeah. Okay, I think that answers Hamzat's question. There's a lot of excitement about the CNG, and the government only has to double its efforts to try to sensitize the public.
Yeah, exactly.
Educate the public so that questions like the one that
people are raising.
Exactly.
Yeah, so there's that need for sensitization.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. We thank our guests, that is Professor Ahmed Adamu, who happens to be an energy expert. I was going to take him on this morning about some of the happenings at NNPCL, but I think we'll do that for next time.
Yeah.
There's some level of imbroglio between the Dangote, NNPCL for control and supply, and I was going to bother you with that one.
Yeah, that's very interesting because even now people are allowed to buy directly from Dangote.
Yeah.
And people are allowed to import directly from outside. So it's an open market.
Exactly.
So Dangote is like other refineries. It's a global business. So marketers can buy from him or from any other competitor in the market.
Yeah.
So it depends where you get the cheaper product. Well, I think that's
We'll invite you back, but it's one area that people want to see cleared up.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of confusion in that area.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Mr. O.J. Matthews being the producer of this morning show. I'm Shola J. Let's have a wonderful Thursday and look forward to a great weekend. Good morning.